The 1914 amalgamation wouldn't have been possible if the first amalgamation do not happen. Pay attention. Most times, people, honorable business, I'm getting fast again. Let me calm down. Let me calm down so I won't get that complaint again. Okay, I will not even know when I will kick off again, but let me control it. You see, most times, people from the northern part of Nigeria usually used to say, why do people from the south always believe that it is only the Hausas and the Fulani that are in the north? What about us? What about us in the southern Kaduna? You see, there are different ethnic groups in the northern part of Nigeria, so many of them. But why is it that most people in the south don't know them? In fact, it is easy to identify other ethnic groups in the south apart from the Igbos and the Yorubas than it is to identify other ethnic groups in the north. Why? Pay attention. You see, a lot of things have happened. Remember, when I was telling you how regions were created, I told you that the first person to create region in Nigeria was Sir Bernard, 1939. What did I tell you that he did? He came to the southern protectorate. He created what? The eastern and the western region. But he did not touch the northern region. He didn't touch it. Why? The south has always been in the nature of being divided. Pay attention. Let me come. Before that region was created, something happened that you need to pay attention. You see, before Nigeria was amalgamated, it is pertinent and imperative for you to know that Lagos had already become a colony. 1861, remember I taught you in our previous class that in 1851 there was Lagos bombardment when Oba Kosoko was sacked out of Lagos. The British brought their own puppet king who was Oba Akitoye, and then in 1861 Oba Doshomu was there and was made to sign Lagos Cession, and Lagos became a colony in 1861. Mind you, 1861 is not 1914, so Nigeria was not yet amalgamated. Pay attention. You see, that Lagos became a colony 1861. In 1893, the British created what was called the Niger Coast Protectorate. Niger Coast Protectorate. They gave that protectorate to all the regions, to all the ethnic group that happened to be at the coastal line area. The Igbos were not there because the Igbos were in the hinterland. So who were the Igbos fall under? They fall under the Niger Royal Company. Remember that Niger Royal Company that I told you about George Gordy. So what do you have now? You have the Niger Royal Company, you have the Lagos colony, and you have the Niger Coast Protectorate. So these three different people were brought together in 1900 and created the Southern Protectorate. At this point in 1900, there was no Nigerian amalgamation because 1900 is before 1914. So what happened? They have been able to bring the Lagos colony, the Niger Coast Protectorate, and the Uni River. So what else do they need to do now? To go to the north, because the south has been settled. So they went to the north, amalgamated everyone in the north, called them the Northern Protectorate. The Northern what? Protectorate. And then in 1914, they joined them together and called them Nigeria. That amalgamation wouldn't have been possible without all the underground amalgamation that they did. And now in 1914, they brought the bigger protectorates together. That is why most likely in Nigeria, you hear what they say, major ethnic groups, because those minor amalgamation made minor ethnic groups swallowed. And if you don't pay attention to entities, and if you don't pay attention to identity, you are going to think that other people don't exist apart from these major ones. So what happened? Before that amalgamation have happened. Let me teach you something. You need to understand something. It was not only in Nigeria that amalgamation happened. You know, the problem that most Nigerians make is that they think that Nigeria is the only country in Africa. No, Nigeria is just another country in Africa. In fact, Nigeria is not the largest country in Africa in terms of land area. You are just the most populated. But in terms of land area, Algeria is more bigger than you in land area. But that's not the point. What am I saying? There is need for you to also look into what other countries, because our African ancestors said a man who lives in one country all his life will end up marrying his own sister, pontificating, saying there is need for us to travel. So let me give you an example. When you go, okay, when you go to places like Ghana, Ghana gained independence in 1958, but that was possible because of the foundation that was laid in 1901. What was that foundation? The Niger Coast Protectorate, the Gold Coast Protectorate in Ghana, Ashanti Kingdoms in Ghana, Northern Territories in Ghana. Oh, we have a Ghanaian here, and also what? And also the British Togoland. Okay? And then independence was formed. Then let's go to Tanzania. Have you ever asked yourself, why was Tanganyika all of a sudden gone into Tanzania? Like a country was answering Tanganyika, all of a sudden turned into Tanzania. That is where you will see the difference between homemade solution from foreign-made solution. You see, when we say that Africans should find African solution to African problem, Tanzania is a major, is a major example. Let me teach you. You see, in 1961, the one you call 1961, I think I've already taught you that I don't like saying 1961, so don't get confused. 1961 is the same thing. I've already explained why, okay? So let's continue. In 1961, Tanganyika regained their independence. Who was their leader? Julius Kaberege Nyerere. Okay? But Zanzibar was not yet independent. Zanzibar regained her independence in 1963, but under what was called a constitutional monarch. Who was the one in charge? A sultan. But then, and something, sorry about that, in January, there is something that was called Zanzibar Revolution. Zanzibar revolted and overthrew that king, that sultan, and immediately on the 26th of April, Zanzibar and Tanganyika came together. That was a union. That was an African amalgamation. So Tanganyika and Zanzibar, one became a suffix, one became a prefix. They became Tanzania. Tanzania from the word Tanganyika and Zanzibar. Believe you me, if I didn't explain it by now, some of you might not have known there was a time it was a different people. But do you hear anything coming out from that country? No. Why? Because the people were amalgamated out of the people's consent, not foreigners. So the issue comes from who? The issue comes from who amalgamated who? Why was he amalgamated? And what was the purpose? So all the amalgamation that was done by the British people were done out of the fact they wanted to have easy administration. You need to understand there is no how a foreign power could rule an African country without amalgamating them, because we were different people. We were different nations striving on our own, and in order for them to exploit all of us simultaneously, there is need to join us together. Why? Because they lacked manpower. So they brought us together to make it easier for them. So that is what I want to teach you. Before the amalgamation, there was already an amalgamation. An amalgamation is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. It happened in other African colonies. Okay? Good. Now let's go into details of what we have today. I know you have learned something from that.
All right. Thank you very much. Everybody is welcome. Please continue to tap on your phone, on your screen. Also, we are going to change this venue very soon to The Honor. Search The Honor. Maybe you come here next Friday or next other Friday, you will not see us. We are going to move So search right now and inbox me there if you need the books that he has given already. Please make sure you send your heart to me. Very, very important. Very, very important. And if you have any question, please come down. You will have a section for question and answering. Okay, don't be in a haste. And for those who are distracting with question, please keep calm and listen. While you are typing, you might not understand what he's talking about. Alright, please make sure you are following the honor. I will show you before we leave. I'm going to show you the picture of how the page look like. Because here I cannot read your messages inbox. So I prefer that one, okay? Thank you very much. Modern Day Tankraya, carry on.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much, my host. Thank you for your attention, because it is, attention is a currency. Honorable, are you aware? That's why we say, hey, pay attention. You pay something. Attention is a currency. So these guys have been paying something. Thank you so much for paying something, okay? Because knowledge is not for free. You pay. What do? You pay attention. So thank you very much, Akebulan people. So let's go direct now. For all the audience, because I saw someone saying that he is from Ghana, okay? And I know other people from other African origin are also here. I welcome you in the spirit of solidarity, okay? I welcome you. So please, now we are going into details of the Nigerian Biafra Civil War.
No,
I should go on.
Those people understand. Tap on your screen. Tap, 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 tap. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay, let's continue. You see, pay attention, okay? Pay very close attention to what we are going to do today now. You see, last time we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the Asaba massacre, how painful it was. Okay, now we are entering into details. Pay attention. My people, we are going to give 1 minute silence to what we are going to do now, because don't worry about an ambush will be talked about. We are going to pay attention, okay? We are going to give 1 minute silence to the heroes who fall in the Nigerian Biafra Civil War, or the people who lost their life, because right now they are here with me and they are listening, okay? Honorable, please calm down. 1 minute. Let's go. You can be tapping on your screen so that you can keep this active. Let's go, Honorable.
Guys, 1 minute silence for our heroes and heroines. While you are doing that, please always keep tapping on your screen and send your heart to me. Appreciate, if you like what he's saying, if you have gift to give, please continue to give gift. We count from now. 1 minute. Let's go.
May the soul of all the fallen heroes who fought in the Nigerian Biafra Civil War, may the soul of all the legends rest in peace. Amen. Some of these, our people, don't have courtesy. We were giving silence and they were talking about very dark, man. That is ridiculous.
They want us to talk about. They want us to talk about individual. We're talking about the heroes past.
Let me throw a little point to them. You need to understand something. We are bigger than some certain topics. Do you understand? We are bigger than some certain topics. We don't talk about individuals. We talk about nation. We talk about things that will elevate your mindset. Do you understand? So please don't take that topic here. Focus on what we are doing. Okay? You say, I say, okay, let's get into details. You see, we are going to take time to discuss this, to diagnose this. So get your pen and paper because I'm giving you a linchpin information. All right, pay attention. You see, can you hear me? This one I'm not seeing my host here. Am I being heard? If you can hear me, please let me see your comment there that you can hear me so I can proceed. Are you there? Okay. You can hear me. You can hear me. Listen, pay attention. Pay attention. The ancestors are here right now. I can feel them. I can feel them. You see, we talked about the thing that demoralized the Biafran soldiers. What happened? You know that Emmanuel Ifejina has been executed. He has been executed. Banjo, Victor Banjo, a lieutenant colonel, has also been executed. But you know, sometimes history remembers only the two big fish in the water. But they were not the only one that were executed. Philip Arani and Sam Egbam was also executed with them. They were executed on the 25th of September 1967. Why were they executed? For those of you who were not here, Ojukwu find out that they were planning to what? Take over his government and hand over, surrender to the Nigerian army. And they were having that talk through a British agent. So when Asaba was captured by the Nigerian army, Ojukwu invited the two men to where? To Enugu. So on the 25th of September, they were publicly executed. Exactly 1:30 p.m. on that day. In fact, according to eyewitness, Victor Banjo stood fearlessly even in the face of death. According to eyewitness, Victor Banjo, after the first gunfire, Victor Banjo looked at the soldiers who fired him and said, "I am still alive." They fired him again and he died. That's to tell you how courageous those men were. But what happened is this. Pay attention. You see, the death of those two men weakened most of the Biafran soldiers and motivated the Nigerian army. Because when you take out such men who are so vital in your sport, it has a way of playing a psychological game on your soldiers. So what happened? Enugu was captured on the 4th of October 1967. When Enugu was captured, Ojukwu quickly moved the capital of the Biafra to Umuahia. But the Nigerian army thought that when they captured Enugu, that the Igbos would stop giving their support to the Biafran government and subsequently the Biafrans would surrender. But that did not happen. The Biafrans kept on supporting the government of Ojukwu. Pay attention. Most times when people talk about Asaba massacre, people talk about it like a massacre. Listen, I am talking about Onitsha, but you need to understand, in this war, you cannot talk about Onitsha without talking about Asaba. Why? Because Asaba was drowned in blood so that fire can reign in Onitsha. Town crier, you are speaking in parable. What do you mean? Let me explain. You see, the tragedy in Asaba was not just a coincidence. It was not just a tragedy. It was a launch pad. See, you need to understand that Murtala Muhammad was already at the river Niger, looking at Onitsha. Someone was in Asaba who gave the order for Asaba massacre to happen. Remember, it was the Nigerian 2nd Division led by Murtala Mohammed, but his instruction came to someone. The person made the order. Who was that? Ibrahim Taiwo. He was a major. Why did they do that? I am going to tell you why they do that, but I'm going to take your mind to World War so you can understand the game they play. Listen, what happened in Asaba was a psychological military strategy. Why? Listen, during the 1945 European War, which they call Civil War, as long as we Africans are concerned, it is not a civil war, it is European War. What happened? Pay attention. When Japan attacked America at Port Harbor, America did not respond immediately. Thank God we are talking about Biafra Civil War, you are talking about America. Yes, because I am laying a foundation of understanding for you. Pay attention. You see, when you read Long Walk to Freedom, or you read articles published and made by who? By Madiba Nelson Mandela. You know Madiba Nelson Mandela, the man who fought apartheid in South Africa. He made us to understand something. You see, the bomb that America launched in Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, was not really actually for Japan, although Japan felt the effect of the war of that bomb, but that bomb was more or less a message to who? To Soviet Union, telling Soviet Union, hey, look at what we have, oh, in case you want to try in future, we are prepared. Nelson Mandela made us to understand, because at that point Japan was already retreating. Hitler was to be captured. Benito Mussolini of Italy was already to be captured. So what happened? There was no need to attack Japan like that, but America wanted to send a message to Soviet Union. You need to understand something, that why do the world consider America today as world power? Take it or leave it. It was because of that military strength that she demonstrated in Japan. So America used Japan to pass a message to the world. I am not the rat you can eat his ear. That is exactly what Murtala Mohammed and Ibrahim Taiwo used Asaba to do. Listen, you need to understand, when Asaba massacre happened, indigents and residents of Asaba, the young men who remained, ran into Onitsha. They knew they would run into Onitsha. Why did they run into Onitsha? They ran into Onitsha to spread fear, because they were scared, they were afraid. So that was a panic strategy to pass message to the people of Onitsha. If we can buy people who are telling us one Nigeria, what are we now going to do to you who accept that you are a Biafran? That was a launch pad. So Asaba was a launch pad. So what happened? That had been established. Now Murtala Mohammed is in the river Niger. Before him is Onitsha. But the river is looking at Murtala Mohammed, defeated. He can't get into Onitsha. Why? Because river Niger has been detonated. So to pass and get to Onitsha, you must use boat. Guess what happened? Yakubu Gowon picked up a cup and gave Murtala Mohammed a command, an order. He told him, do not enter Onitsha using boats. Don't do it. Don't. What you do is, don't cross Onitsha from Asaba. Cross Onitsha from where? From Ida. But listen, Murtala Mohammed is to capture Onitsha, but Onitsha was defended by who? Onitsha was defended by the Biafran 11 Division. 11 Division. This 11 Division was commanded by who? Lieutenant Colonel Conrad Nwowo. Conrad Nwowo. Conrad Nwowo divided the 11th Division into 3 separate different battalions. The first battalion is called 11th Battalion. 12 battalion and 18 battalion. So that is 3 battalion. Who were the people in charge of these battalions? The 11th battalion, the person that commanded it was Joseph Anozie. Joseph Anozie. Joseph Anozie was referred to as the Hannibal of Biafra. Hannibal of Biafra. Throughout the history of Biafra Nigerian Civil War, no matter who wrote the book, you must hear Joseph Anozie. Why? He was the Hannibal of Biafra. What is the meaning of the Hannibal? Thank God you are using big grammar. Explain to them. Listen, the word Hannibal came from the word Hannibal Barca. When did we start using it? It was a legend from 247 to 183 BC. Okay, who was that? It was a commander who was able to command elephants and soldiers in war against the Roman warriors in when 247 to 183 BC. You can check it. Check the meaning of Hannibal. You will see that the meaning is from Hannibal Barca. So Joseph Anozie, the one who commanded the 11 battalion under 11 division, was referred to as the Hannibal of Biafra. That man, I have taken it up to myself that when I come to Nigeria, I am going to look for the family of Joseph Anozie. So that is 11 battalion. What was their duty? Their duty was to protect the city of Atani and Ndoni. Atani and Ndoni. That is the duty of the 11th battalion under Joseph Anozie. And then you have the 18th battalion. Who was the commander of 18th battalion? The commander of 18th battalion was Asam Ndugo. Asam Ndugo was given the responsibility to protect and defend the major city of Onitsha. So what else do you have? You have the 12th battalion. Who was the commander of the 12th battalion? That was Mike Ivensu. Mike Ivensu was the commander of the 12th battalion. I hope you are writing down. Mike Ivensu was given the responsibility to protect the town of Nsugbe and Ida. Okay, Nsugbe and Ida. That is now you have 11 battalion, which is 11 division, which was divided towards 3 battalions, 11, 12, and 18. So what happened? On the 8th of October, Murtala Muhammad ignored the advice of Yakubu Gowon. Not an advice, it was a command. He was commanded not to attack Onitsha from Asaba, but he ignored that advice. On the 8th of October, what did he do? He ordered the Nigerian artillery to begin to bombard Onitsha. Onitsha fell onto heavy bombardment. It was heavy, very heavy bombardment. Onitsha was bombarded for 8 days. After 8 days, Murtala Muhammad felt like, okay, this, when I talk about bombardment, I am not talking about AK-47, I am talking about artillery. Onitsha was bombarded for 8 days. So after 8 days, what happened? Murtala Muhammad, in his own wisdom, felt that, okay, with these 8 days of bombardment, he has been able to do what? To subside and subdue the 18th battalion under who? Under Asep Ndugbo, who was protecting the main city of Onitsha. So it is time for him to do what? Proceed into Onitsha. So what happened? On the 12th of October, what did he do? He took 5,000 Nigerian soldiers under the 2nd division in what was called Boat Amanda, and they crossed the river Niger and stepped into Onitsha. The small but stubborn 18th division under Asam Ndugbo resisted and fought them. But because Murtala Muhammad had more ammunition, had more weapons. He was able to push the Biafran 18th Battalion back. So when he pushed them and pushed them into Onitsha, something happened. They got distracted. Instead of them to keep on pushing that 18th Battalion under Asamundugbo, what happened? They got distracted and went into Onitsha market and started looting. These soldiers have not seen food for a long time, so they started looting the market in Onitsha and started burning the market. They burned down the market and they were looting the market. But because they were looting the market, that gave time for the 18th Battalion to reorganize itself and reposition itself and came toward the new market road of Onitsha. And then 11th Battalion that was headed by the Hannibal Biafra. Who is that? Joseph Anozie, who was given the instruction to protect Atani and Ndoni. But right now, Atani and Ndoni are not under attack. Where is under attack? The main city of Onitsha. So what happened was that Joseph Anozie moved his battalion and came to support the 18th Battalion under Asamundugbo. So when they came to Onitsha, remember the 18th Battalion has taken the new Onitsha Market Road. Anozie with his 11th Battalion took the old Onitsha Market Road. So what did they do? They met the Nigerian 2nd Division, those 5,000 men who crossed River Niger into Onitsha and was looting the market of Onitsha. They caught them at the market and do what? And cornered them, and there was a heavy gunfire. Heavy gunfire. That day, out of 5,000 men, the men that retreated from the 2nd Division of the Nigerian Army were not up to 2,000. They ran back and crossed the River Niger. The 11th and the 18th Battalion of the Biafran Army pushed them and took control of Onitsha. And the 2nd Division, 5,000 men that crossed, went back to Asaba. So, 11th and 18th Battalion remained in the city of Onitsha. So what happened? What happened is this. After Murtala Muhammad saw what happened, Murtala Muhammad undoubted sent another 5,000 Nigerian soldiers, a reinforcement that came from Lagos. He sent them back to Onitsha. But when they got to Onitsha, your people have to be careful. When they got to Onitsha, something happened. The 11th and 18th Battalion of the Biafran soldiers hit them very hard, and not up to 1,000 went back again. So Murtala Muhammad have attempted to capture Onitsha twice with 5,000 men, and he lost greatly. But Murtala Muhammad was a very stubborn man. Very stubborn man. What did he do? He took another troop from a man called Alani Akinilelele. He took his troops, okay, and went back to Onitsha 3 times. The first invasion of Onitsha happened 3 times and it all failed. The 3rd time, the 11th and 18th Battalion under the 11th Division of the Biafran Army chased them again away and defeated them. Murtala Muhammad wanted to cross Onitsha 3 times through Asaba. He lost. That is why we call Joseph Anozie the Hannibal of Biafra. As long as I'm concerned in the study of the Nigerian Biafran Army, he was the competent soldier. Don't worry, as we are progressing, you will see other things that he did. Now, it was obvious to Murtala Muhammad that he cannot capture Onitsha through what? Through Asaba, because the river itself is a weapon that fights you without shooting. So what happened? We are stopping there. Pay attention. We are stopping there. I want you to have a mental picture. Close your eyes and open it. Close it and you are seeing Murtala Muhammad, okay, in Asaba. So let me take you to where? To Calabar. Because you need to understand, as the war is happening here, it's happening in other parts of Biafra. So let's go to Calabar. Pay attention. So to tell you that what the Biafrans faced was not easy. It wasn't easy, and know that the war was not, they were not prepared. So let's go to Calabar. What happened? On the 7th of October, the commander of the Nigerian 3rd Marine Commando, who was Benjamin Adekunle, who was popularly known as the Black Scorpion. He disembarked from Warri, got to Bonny, and then wanted to use Bonny as a launch pad to do what? To capture Calabar. But you see, Calabar was defended by the 9th Battalion of the Biafran Army. Who was in charge of the 9th Battalion? The person in charge of the 9th Battalion was Agbo Oji. Agbo Oji was a major. He was the one given the authority and command to protect and defend the city of Calabar. Not just the city of Calabar, he was given the authority and command to protect the Biafran coastal line all the way from Opobo to Cameroon border. So what happened? On the 7th and the 9th of October, the Nigerian Marine Commando, headed by Benjamin Adekunle, the Black Scorpion, launched a massive attack on Calabar. The 9th Battalion of the Biafran Army faced a heavy bombardment in Calabar. In fact, that was the first time it was recorded in that war that soldiers, both the Nigerian and the Biafran soldiers, had to fight physical. Why? Because the Nigerian army entered into Calabar using 3 different areas. So it got for them to fight physically. But because the Nigerian army were more equipped, they were able to push the 9th Battalion headed by Agbo Oji away from the major city of Calabar. But the 9th Battalion of the Biafrans were able to stay at the outskirts of Calabar and also were able to get their own territory outside Calabar. What next happened was that Agbo Oji sustained a very bad injury. So Agbo Oji was quickly transferred to Umuahia for treatment. So his troop did not have a commander. So immediately another person took over. Who was that? Lieutenant Colonel David Okafor. David Okafor took over. He took over the 9th Battalion, but he did not engage the Nigerian Marine Commando under Benjamin Adekunle, the Black Scorpion. He stayed at the outskirts of Calabar waiting for reinforcement. Who was he waiting for? He was waiting for the 7th Battalion of the Biafran Army. Who was the one commanding it? It was Festus Akanga. Festus Akanga was the one commanding the Biafran 7th Battalion. So what happened? When Festus Akanga came and met the Biafran 9th Battalion that is now commanded by David Okafor, they both joined together and got into Calabar. But again, they were heavily bombarded. You need to understand that the Nigerian Marine Commando under Benjamin Adekunle, the Black Scorpion, they were not the only one attacking you. They were attacking you from the sea, and they were also having pirates who were attacking you from the air.
Guys, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Ish. I think his network disconnected. Before you come back, guys, thank you for the tap. Thank you for your contribution. He will soon be back. Make sure you are tapping, make sure you are sending heart me. Very, very important. Thank you, guys.
What happened? Is it my network or what?
I should be asking you what happened.
So sorry about that. So sorry. All of a sudden, I just get so sorry about that. I've changed my network. So you can hear me vividly. Can I continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I continue?
Go ahead.
Okay. Right now, right now, it was almost practically impossible for both the Biafran 9th Battalion and the 7th Battalion, both the 9th Battalion led by David Okafor and the 7th Battalion led by Festus Akanga to defend Calabar. What happened? That was one of the most emotional times that I've seen in that war, because Festus Akanga relayed the message to Umuahia, to Ojukwu. Guess what he said? What I'm going to tell you was exactly what to Ojukwu in Umuahia. This was what he said. He said, Commander for GOC, the situation in this sector is almost out of hand, if not impossible. With little arm held, the enemy fires ceaselessly at us for the past 48 hours. We intend to stay to make the supreme sacrifice. Please help before it is too late. We who are about to die salute you. That was the message Festus Akanga sent to Ojukwu, to Umuahia. Painful message. Commander for GOC, the situation in this sector is almost out of hand, if not impossible. With little arm held, the enemy fires ceaselessly at us for the past 48 hours. We intend to stay on to make the supreme sacrifice. Please help before it is too late. We who are about to die salute you. So what happened? When Ojukwu got the message, Ojukwu quickly recruited mercenaries headed by a man called Roger Frick to Calabar. So when the mercenaries headed by Roger Frick got to Calabar, there is no how they could take Calabar, because the bombardment was coming both from the land, both from the sea, and both from the air. So at the end of the day, they were able to push the mercenaries back. And at the end of the day, both the mercenaries, the 9th Battalion under David Okafor, and the 7th Battalion under Festus Akanga, they were all pushed outside Calabar, and Calabar was captured. And that blocked Biafrans from accessing the Cameroon. That was the first time Biafrans have been cut off from one part of their sea. They can no longer access Cameroon. One down. So what happened? It was time. Let's go back to where? Remember, where did I tell you we left? We left, we're at Asaba. So let's go back to Asaba. Okay? Who is there? Murtala Muhammad. That is late December 1967 is about coming to an end. We are about getting to 1968. So late 1967 December, Murtala Muhammad know that he cannot capture Onitsha through Asaba. So what happened? The Nigerian 2nd Division and the Nigerian 6th Division, headed by Shehu Omara Yaladua. The 6th Division, headed by Shehu Omara Yaladua. It is not what you are thinking. It is not Omara Musa Yaladua. It is not your former president. No, that was his elder brother. Yes, Omara Musa Yaladua and Shehu Musa Yaladua are brothers. This one that came for this war was his elder brother. He was the one commanding the Nigerian 6th Battalion. Let me cut it short. Later on, he died in prison during the time of Sani Abacha. Okay? But that's a story for another day. Let's continue. So, the Nigerian 2nd Division and the 6th Battalion, okay, of the Nigerian Army, what did they do? They moved through Ida. They moved through Ida late December. How many people? They moved armor tanks, firearms, fuel tanks, and they moved with 14,000 men. 14,000 men crossed Asaba from Ida and got into Adani. When they got to Adani, remember who was stationed at Adani? That is the 12th battalion that was under 11th division of the Biafran army. Who is there? Michael Ivensu. So when they got there, what happened? Murtala Muhammad led 2 different attacks. One at Adani, one at Udi, 25 miles from the north of Nsoka. But what happened? They met the Nigerian 53rd Battalion headed by Christian Udi. And then Murtala Muhammad's men that moved towards Adani met with what? The Biafran 12th Battalion under the 11th Division. Who was there? Mike Ivensu. So Mike Ivensu held them. But then Murtala Muhammad did something that showed lack of tactical originality. So he moved with his men in 2 different units. And he was moving in the center. While the Nigerian... Sorry about that. I'm seeing something coming out of my screen. While the Biafran 12th Battalion under Michael Ivensu did what? Began to attack him by the side. But Murtala Muhammad was losing men, but he was unperturbed because his attention was that for him to get furniture. So what did he do? Because he was heavily prepared, he was able to sustain himself and what? Push the Biafran 12th Battalion and got to Oka. Oka was captured on the 9th of January 1968. On the 19th of January, it has already been captured. So what happened? Oka being in sight, that was when the people of Anambra, another part, began using the terms Hausa Abatoka. Hausa Abatoka. I think the meaning of that is that Hausa have entered Oka. That was when that phrase was formed. Okay? Now, Murtala Muhammad was already in Oka. And you can say Hausa Abatoka. Hausa have entered Oka. So, right now, with Oka captured, what you have now is a free road to where? To Onitsha. Free road. Because to get to Onitsha, it is just 25 miles east. So what do you need to do? Capturing Oka automatically means that a city, a little town called Amobia has been captured. Umuopu has been captured. Nofia has been captured. So what is left to be captured is Enuguku and Abagana and Obosi and Onitsha. Sorry, let me put my power bank.
Guys, before you do that, make sure you are tapping on your screen, send your heart to me so that the live will be recommended to other people to come and watch. This show will be moved to this account. I don't know if you can see it. So we are going to be moving to where I can read your comment, inbox and the reply. Okay? Make sure you are tapping and sending heart to me so that the TikTok will recommend other people to come and watch. Okay? It is free of charge. Let's go, guys. Thank you.
Sorry, give me a few minutes. I don't know why it's not picking.
The
I'll
account
get
try to follow this account. That's where we'll be holding the meeting henceforth. The honor. Can see it. Are you okay? Let's go.
Thank you for your patience, okay? Thank you for your patience, my people. So sorry about that. That is the Africa we are trying to fix so we can have an uninterrupted power supply. All right, you and I will fix it. Okay. So they are already in Oka. Awusa Batoka. Awusa is now in Oka. So what will, although some people don't even know that most of the people that fought the Nigerian Biafra civil war from the Nigerian troops were not even most of Hausa descent. That's a story for another day. I will show you. So let's continue. So what happened? Immediately, Ojukwu saw that Oka has been captured. Ojukwu immediately replaced the commander of the 11th division, who was Conrad Nwowo. Lieutenant Colonel Conrad Nwowo was replaced with who? He was replaced by Joseph Anozie. Joseph Anozie, remember him, the man I told you is the Hannibal of Biafra. He was the one who replaced Colonel, okay, Conrad Nwowo. He was now the head of the 11th division. Do you know what he did? Of course, he lived up to his name. He was able to hold Murtala Muhammad for 2 months. Murtala Muhammad, 2nd division of the Nigerian army, will bombard him. He will retaliate. They did that for what? For 2 months. He held Murtala Muhammad 22 kilometers away of Onitsha for 2 months using little arms. But what happened? On the 19th of March, Murtala Muhammad pushed, got to Abagana. See, this is where I will blow your mind. I hope that young man that asked me to talk about Abagana, he's listening. This is where I will blow your mind. You see, most times when we tell people that Onitsha was captured, they tell us, what about Abagana ambush? No, Abagana ambush did not happen until Onitsha was captured. Onitsha was captured on the 20th to 21st of March. Abagana ambush was on the 31st of March, 1968. Do you understand? Now let me tell you how it happened. After Onitsha, when 2nd division got to Onitsha, the battle lasted for 24 hours because Anozie and his 11th division stood their ground and fought with thousands and years of history behind them. They fought to defend Onitsha. But that was when it was obvious that war is not won by willpower. War is won by gunpowder. So Murtala Muhammad's 2nd division at the end of 24 hours was able to capture Onitsha, although they sustained heavy casualty. So what happened? When they captured Onitsha, the 11th division, pay attention, it's very important. The 11th division under Joseph Anozie divided itself into 2 units. The first unit headed south, that is Nnewi. It headed south to Nnewi. It was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Conrad Nwowo. He went with that 1 unit and stayed at where? And stayed at Nnewi. Why? Anozie and his men took another unit and went and laid ambush at Enugu Onitsha Expressway. Now, Onitsha has been captured, but what happened? Because of the speed that Murtala Muhammad was using to come to Onitsha, he left his supplies at Oka, and now he needed those supplies. So those supplies began moving from Amobia, Umuopu, Northfia, Enugu, and Abagana to get into Onitsha. But unbeknownst to them, a little unit belonging to Anozie's 11th division, headed by Jonathan Uchendu, laid ambush for that convoy. The convoy comprises of 102 vehicles and 6,000 soldiers. You see, when we call these numbers, these are human beings. So when we say 2,000 pied, 5,000 pied, it's as if they are birds. Or these are people's children. These are people's husbands. Do you understand? So that convoy was carrying 102 vehicles. Sorry, my battery was messing up. And 6,000 soldiers. So when they got to Abagana, it was a long convoy, very long. But unbeknownst to them, the unit commanded by Jonathan Uchendu were laying ambush. So when the unit commanded by Uchendu saw them, they were anxious to fire, but they got an instruction not to fire. They should lay low until those convoy move in between Abagana. But what happened is that while they were moving, getting into Abagana, remember this happened on the 31st of March 1968, the popular Abagana ambush. What happened was that as Jonathan Uchendu was giving instruction to his rocket launcher, okay, the man mistakenly clicked the trigger and he fired on one of the convoys of the Nigerian army carrying what? Fuel tankers. And what happened? It exploded. When this convoy saw what happened, because they believe that what has happened, that Onitsha has been captured, and if Onitsha has been captured, no soldiers should be in Abagana. So they were what? They were confused and perplexed. They caused pandemonium and they ran. So what happened? They didn't know that that was an ambush. So as they were running, they were actually running to meet the units of Jonathan Uchendu. They followed them up and pied almost 5,000 soldiers. That was the greatest ambush in the Nigerian Biafran Civil War. That was the first time Nigeria had a single loss in one day. It was brutal, very, very brutal. But Abagana taught us something in history. What does it teach us? Abagana taught us that you can occupy a city, but you cannot control it. Occupation from control is different, because the Nigerian 2nd Division has occupied Onitsha, but yet they could not control Abagana and they lost Abagana. What happened? Let me give you statistics. After Murtala Muhammad captured Onitsha, he had to go back to Lagos to tell them the good news. I have captured Onitsha. But let me shock you. Murtala Muhammad got into Biafra with estimated 20,000 soldiers, 20,000 men of the 2nd Division. Guess how many got to Onitsha? 2,000. So he lost estimated 18,000 men. My goodness. My goodness. So what happened? When he got to Lagos and stated the statistics to Yakubu Gowon, hey, I have captured Onitsha. Yakubu Gowon looked at the statistics. Is this something to be celebrated? You got into that place with 2,000 men and with 20,000 men, and you captured Onitsha with 2,000 men. You lost a lot of soldiers. This victory is not worth celebrating. What happened? Yakubu Gowon relieved the control of the 2nd Division from Murtala Muhammad, and Murtala Muhammad never controlled any division till the war ended. Let me just give you a snippet. Listen, pay attention. That thing that happened, Murtala Muhammad was not happy about it. He was very angry. Let me tell you, because as long as Murtala Muhammad was consigned, Yakubu Gowon was nothing. Nothing. Why? Yakubu Gowon, this was the head of state. He gave instruction to you not to cross River Niger from Asaba. You ignored. Have you asked yourself, why was they not punished? And let me tell you something. Murtala Muhammad operation from Asaba to Onitsha violated every military operation, because you don't bombard a city like that, a city that has civilians. You might hurt them, but unfortunately, he was never questioned. He was never tried. But let me ask you a simple question. Why do you think that someone like Murtala Muhammad will refuse an order from head of state? That is one. Two, why do you think that when he got to Lagos, he was not punished? Let me teach you why. You see, that thing that happened in Biafra that I taught you last time, that people like Nzogo, people like Victor Banjo, people like Emmanuel Ifeduna did not really see Ojukwu like other soldiers were seeing them, because them themselves were big names. That was what happened in Nigeria also. As long as Murtala Muhammad was involved, who is Yakubu Gowon to tell him what to do? Because you need to understand, Murtala Muhammad and Theophilus Danjuma, alongside other young majors, were the ones that carried out the counter coup d'etat on the 29th of July 1966. They were the one that died Aguiyi Ironsi. So as much as he's concerned, hey, I am the one who ushered in the government that brought you here. You don't talk to me anyhow. That explains the reason why he was able to overthrow Yakubu Gowon when he went to Kampala for OAU summit. Murtala Muhammad took over the government immediately. Why? Because he's already nurturing a grief. Hey, you took over and relieved me from commanding a division during the Nigerian Biafra Civil War. That was his way of retaliating. I told you, history comes in different patterns. But let us forget that. Let us go back to the war. My time is getting short, but I'm going to rush. Okay? So right now, Onitsha has been captured. Calabar has been captured. Remaining one to be captured. Listen, you need to understand that when Enugu was captured, nothing happened. But when Onitsha was captured, movement stopped. When Calabar was captured, wound started to breathe. So what remained to be captured? Port Harcourt. Now let's go to Port Harcourt. You see,
before you go to Port Harcourt, please tap on your screen. Keep tapping so that the network will be stable. Tap. Send that to me. And make sure you are following this. We are going to host this program on this platform, The Honor, next week. So you don't miss it. I have my reasons. Please, let's go. Thank you.
Okay. Now it is time to capture Port Harcourt. But remember, I told you to be writing, so when I make references, you don't get mystified or perplexed. Remember, when Calabar was captured, what happened? 7 battalion was there, that is Biafran army. 9 battalion was there, that is also Biafran army. They were scattered. Right now, they organized themselves, regrouped themselves, and created what was called the 12th battalion of the Biafran army. It was headed by Festus Ikenga. Now, Festus Akanga was the head of this division, which is the 12th division. This 12th division was divided into what? 2 battalions. That is the 56th and the 58th battalion. The 56th battalion was headed by Simeon Owakwe. The 58th battalion was headed by Ifeanyi Anebo. Now, let's continue. The 15th battalion of the Nigerian army was stationed at Boni, headed by Alari Akinirele, that man that Murtala Muhammad took his troops in 1967 in Asaba. Now he has joined the 3rd Marine Commando under 15th Battalion stationed in Boni. Now they want to take Port Harcourt, but Port Harcourt was defended by Okigbo Kalu, the commander of the 52nd Biafran Battalion. He was the one there. Sorry, it was a brigade. He was the one there. He was a lieutenant colonel. So what happened? The Nigerian 33 Brigade, headed by Tahama, laid what was called an amphibious assault on the Biafran 58th Division, headed by Ifeanyi Anebo. They countered them and pushed them and conquered and captured Uyo. So Uyo was captured. Now, Nigerian 17th and 16th Division, headed by Lieutenant Colonel A.E. Ekut and Lieutenant Colonel Philemon Shande, they moved simultaneously and captured Opobo and Eket. Now, the Nigerian 33 Division that pushed away Ifeanyi Anebo went to Uyo and stayed. Okay? Now, this Nigerian 16th and 17th Battalion, headed by Philemon Shandi and E.A. Ekit, met them at where? At Uyo. The Nigerian 15th Battalion, headed by Akinere Areli, made an attack on One. Now, One was bombarded and held. Okay? But it was for a short period of time. Why? Because a division headed by a mercenary who was an Italian born, his name was Giorgio Nobeto. He was an Italian born, a mercenary. He quickly took some Biafran soldiers, went to One and pushed back the 15th Battalion that came from Boni. He pushed them back and recaptured One. But then One came again under heavy bombardment. By who? By that same 15th Battalion, 16th Battalion, 17th Battalion, and 33 Brigade. 4 of them attacked One at the same time. Who were in charge of it? 33 Brigade, headed by Tahama. 15th Brigade by Arale Akinrele. And then 16th Division of the Nigerian Army, headed by A.E. Ekut. And then the 16th Division, headed by Philemon Shandi. All of them attacked One. And then, in the case of the power, there was a heavy gunshot at One. And guess what? That Biafran mercenary, who was an Italian born, Giorgio Nobeto, was tied at One. So with that, the Nigerian army captured One. What was in sight? Port Harcourt was in sight. Okrika was in sight. Immediately, Ojukwu released a radio broadcast all around Biafra. What was his statement? This was his statement. He said, and I quote, "Gowon wants our wealth by all means and by all cost. He wants to capture Port Harcourt. But he can't, because Port Harcourt is a symbol of our freedom. Port Harcourt is a symbol of our resistance, our hope, and our unrelenting determination to survive." That was the broadcast Ojukwu released. Immediately Ojukwu released that broadcast, the soldiers in Biafra began heading to Port Harcourt. Something happened. Remember, I told you that Joseph Anozie was the Hannibal of Biafra. That is to say, whenever there is problem, they send him there. Immediately, Ojukwu removed Lieutenant Colonel Okigbo Kalu and replaced him with who? Joseph Anozie, a more competent Biafran soldier. Immediately, Joseph Anozie got to Port Harcourt. The Biafran soldiers were motivated. I don't know if you have seen the movie Hercules. When Hercules gets into battle, the way soldiers shout and ginger themselves, that was exactly how the Biafran soldiers felt when they met Joseph Achuzie, because they have been hearing his exploits. They had this exploit in Onitsha, they had this exploit in Oka, and now it's coming to meet them in Port Harcourt. They were excited. Anozie fought, he held them. But you need to understand that war is not won by willpower. War is won by gunpowder. So what happened? After 4 days of heavy bombardment, 4 days of heavy bombardment, they were able to push the Biafran 52nd Battalion that is now headed by Joe Anozie. They pushed them back and they went and stayed at the city of Okrika. At some point, armor tank almost ran over Anozie, but he survived it. They fought at the city of Okrika. It was at the city of Okrika that Adaka Boro was spied. You know Adaka Boro. Who does not know Adaka Boro? Adaka Boro, you know him, right? One of the foremost minority activists who was pushing for the Niger Delta Republic that Ade Ironsi arrested. Yes, it's him, Isaac Adaka Boro. Yes, he was recruited into the Nigerian army to fight against his own people. That is the tragedy of war. So he was fighting against his own people. Isaac Adaka Boro. Yes, he was a major in the Nigerian army during the Nigerian Biafra Civil War. So he was spied at the Battle of Okrika. So now, the Biafran army were also pushed from Okrika, and the Nigerian army captured the city of Akam, aka Akam. And Akam happens to be the Biafran city that holds power supply in most of the Biafran cities. So what happened? When Nigerian army captured it, they cut electricity and most of the Biafran cities went black out. Let's proceed. Now, they pushed the Biafran soldiers out of Okrika and they went and stayed at the town of Igrita. Igrita, Igrita, at the town of Igrita. That was where they stayed and remained. No leave, no transfer. That was where they stayed. But tell me, the city of Port Harcourt has been captured. Ladies and gentlemen, do I need to tell you something very important? That when Onitsha was captured, movement stopped. When Calabar was captured, a wound began to bleed. But when Port Harcourt was captured, life stopped. That was when the war moved from just geography. The war moved from just a battle for movement. The war moved from just a battle of territory to what? A battle of survival. That is when children became soldiers. That is when food became a weapon. That is when silence became a policy. That is when life became unbearable because the Biafrans has been cut off from all major part of the sea to access the world. Right now, it is time for the Nigerian army to utilize their last strategy, which is starvation warfare. Because first, they have used blockade. Secondly, they have used encirclement. Now it is time to use starvation warfare. Children have to pay the ultimate sacrifice, which is kwashiorkor. That is why studying this history is very important. Because when we study history like this, we are not just trying to provoke thoughts. No, we are not trying to take side. We are trying to let you understand what happened yesterday in historical terms. We are simply choosing memory over amnesia. We are choosing truth over convenience. We are choosing reality over lies. That is what we are doing, and it's important that you know that these things happen because in as much as Abagana taught the world that occupation does not make control, brothers and sisters, Port Harcourt has been captured. Children will pay the ultimate price. So what happened? Biafrans were cut off from all supplies. They are being landlocked. Hunger and food became a weapon. The Minister of Finance, who was he? Obafemi Awolowo. When the Biafrans were saying that children were being killed of hunger, international community, Red Cross and other people said, okay, we are going to send food to Biafrans. The Nigerian government said, see what will happen. bring this food to the Nigerian troops. We are going to package this food and send to the Biafrans. Why will Nigerian government collect food and send to the Biafran? Because remember, it is called civil war. Their main aim is not to exterminate civilians. So Nigerian government opted to send this food to the Biafran civilians. But Ojukwu refused and said that any food that will come from the Nigerians is going to be poisoned, that they don't want it. They don't want it. So the Nigerian government said, to your tent, O Israel, then they should stay hungry. The Minister of Finance, Obafemi Awolowo, released a statement that said that hunger is part of strategy of warfare. We cannot feed our enemies fat for them to get strength and come and fight us back. Everything is fair in war. And that was the beginning of another phase of the Nigerian Biafra civil war. This being happened, Calabar being taken, Port Harcourt being taken, Onitsha being taken. It's remaining 3 cities in sight: Aba, Umuahia, and Owerri. So who is to take them? Benjamin Adekunle, the Black Scorpion. And so he called them Operation OAU. O for Owerri, A for Aba, and U for Umuahia. Ladies and gentlemen, good people of Akebuland, it's 8:41 West African time. I have tried to relate to you something very important this evening. That history is not just about dates. No. History is what happens when decisions collide with geography. And today we have seen how that geography was collided in Onitsha. We have seen how it was collided in Calabar. And how it happened in Port Harcourt. And what seemed to be a war of movement and geography became a war of starvation. And now children have to pay the ultimate sacrifice. Ladies and gentlemen, it is imperative and impertinent for you to know that war is not a good thing. That most people that have seen war do not want it to come back again. Because life was wasted. Life was wasted. Children paid a price that was never meant to be. An international community, we are using Nigeria and the Biafrans to play a game at the global political arena. Ozo Emena, that is what the ancestors said. And I want you to understand something very important. We have looked at figures, we have looked at events, we have looked at names, we have looked at numbers, we have looked at bloodshed, and we have looked at people who lost their lives. And I want you to know today, this history was not made to provoke your mind. It was made to provoke your thought. Thought provocation is important. People say that history is dangerous. Brothers, history is not dangerous. History is good. What is dangerous is silence. Because if you don't know your tragedies of yesterday, you are going to repeat it. People say that history repeats itself. But history do not repeat itself. Do you know what repeats itself? It is people who repeat history. History don't repeat themselves. People repeat history. And if you don't know history, you will repeat history. So I taught you this today, not because of hate, but because of understanding. Because understanding is what differentiates noise from in-depth knowledge. The time called the voice of Akebuland loves you and I care about you. Ladies and gentlemen, I have another class by 9 o'clock and it's very pertinent and imperative that I take my leave. I love you, my people. Stay safe, stay woke, stay sound, stay enlightened. Make sure your heart is open. Only then can the ancestors talk to you. I love you and I care about you. The big masquerade is about to go. I love you, my people.
Yeah. Thank you, the modern day town crier, for the beautiful one today once again, like always. Thank you very much, guys. Know that we are having him every week. Every week we are having him by 7 p.m. Nigeria time. Take note, 7 p.m. Nigeria time. We are not going to wait for anybody. Like today, we waited for you guys. This is information we need to. This is not found in any university in Nigeria, no school at all. So please, everybody's advised to join and share. You can share to WhatsApp group. Those who are interested to know about what happened in Nigeria in the past, you can do well to share to them. A lot of people want to know, but they don't know where to find them. That is why we open this channel. And again, guys, please make sure you are following this page. This is where we are going to be educating people. Mr. Ray, welcome in. This is where we are going to be having the training henceforth. This one I cannot reply messages on the inbox, so I have to change the location. If you can follow here, it will be very, very important. Mr. Ray, God bless you for coming around. So guys, Africans, we need to get ourselves wisdom that they have refused to teach us in the schools. Do well to join us every Friday, 7 p.m. Mr. Ray, welcome in, boss. So everybody is advised to please join us. This, the honor, is the platform henceforth. Don't say you are not told. The honor, make sure you are following. In case you do not come there, you might be looking for us here, you will not find us while we are there. Very, very important. And we are also looking for sponsorship. It is very, very important that I tell you this. Please, we are looking for sponsorship to sponsor this program. It is not easy for one person. Very, very important. We are looking for sponsorship. Any way you could, please inbox me, and we are going to discuss the terms and conditions that he is coming here every Friday. And thank God for everyone who have been in support by your gifting, by your tapping, by your anyway commenting anyhow you come. Thank you very much for being here. God bless you. Until we see you next week on this platform. Don't forget to share to your friends. Thank you guys. Thank you for the gifting. Thank you. And Modern Day Tankraya for your, it's as if you are reading this in somewhere. At a point, I'm looking at you. If there are somewhere you are peeping. But it's looking at your age to see you, this is very, 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 very interesting. God bless you as you give us more wisdom and you are making more impact in our life. You want to say something?
Yes, Honorable. See, I want to let everyone on this live today watching us to know something. You see, as long as you are an African, you can do anything possible. We have what is called Black Magnificent. Look deep into you. You will see the uniqueness that God has given you. You see, when I teach you history, I am not teaching you history from the perspective of someone who read or who studied from school. No. I tell people, they think I'm joking. I was there. Oh, Honorable, I said I was there when it happened. Let me tell you how these things happen. Sometimes when we sleep, sometimes when I sleep with my book and my paper. I write some things in my dream and write it in real life when I wake up. I want you to remember something. You might ask me, Tankraya, why, Honorable, why are you bringing this guy here every time to teach us about things of the past? Let me tell you something. What we just learned today is not things of the past. It is things of the present, because it is the past we use to inform the future. A river that does not know its source will dry up. That is why Marcus Garvey made us to understand a people without a trace of who they are is like a tree without their roots. Do you understand? So, if you don't know your father, or your grandfather, or your great-grandfather, I am doing you the honor of knowing them, because I am the connection between the past and the present, and you are just looking at one ancestor. Do you understand? So, I am not teaching you because I just want you to know. No. I also want you to do three things. I want you to understand. Okay? I want you to understand. I want you to overstand. And I want you to understand. These are three different things. Let me break it down for you. Understand. You are a kid. When I was a child, I was asked, Tankraya, who is your father and mother? I looked at the woman that breastfeeded me and the man that was feeding me. I said, that is my mother and father. That was my understanding of who my parents are. Okay? When I got to a certain stage, I was asked, Tankraya, who are your parents? I looked at my father and my mother. I said, they are my parents. Why? Because they are the ones that fed me, sent me to school. That was my understanding on who my parents are. But when I came to be who I am today. You ask me, town crier, who are your parents? I point at my father and mother. Why? Not because they breastfeed me, not because they fed me, not because they take care of me, but because it has been already been written in the heart of the universe that they will be my parents. Now, that is not understanding. That is not overstanding. That is inner standing. Because the comprehension of that concept and reality has gone beyond mere conception. So when I teach you, you move from understanding, overstanding to inner standing. And that is what I want you to get. But teaching you here will not only be what you will get. Why? Because as you are hearing me, you are enjoying it, but I want you to go deeper. That is why I give you books to read. Honorable will give you book. Every day I finish lecture, I give book. So what you need to do, meet Honorable, tell him, Honorable, please, I want book. I will give you book, because I'm not only teaching you how to eat fish, I'm teaching you how to make that possible for yourself. Listen, we are in a time of knowledge. This is called the days of understanding. In a time of digitalization, ignorance is a choice. Reading is a mental calisthenics. What does that mean? Expansion. A mind that does not read cannot expand. But because you are too busy to read, they intentionally made you to be too busy to read so that they can hide information from you. That is why I said I walked into Africa as things fall apart. I saw the man with the title Private Jets behind. This is our prime. Okonkwo, you can't hang yourself. I know that things fall apart, but you can't hang yourself. That is why we go to school, but there's no job in sight. They say school na scam, so I took the long walk to freedom. But Chinua Achebe said there was a country. How am I supposed to know when they took history away from school to punch me away from the truth and keep me in the dark? I'm a tortoise without its shells. Look into my eyes and see my scars of proof. Take a flower, make a buckwheat for my mother and all mothers who lost their children in the Nigerian Biafra civil war. Tell them, on that day it was night but it wasn't dark. That day, it seemed like the day was longer than the night, like the light of Congo warriors, the light that took the shape of a ball rise and sat on the surface of the earth, shooting stupid windows of Africans. From afar, you could hear the voice of afar, screaming and shouting in a loud voice, Allah Akbar. I was lost and blind, lost and found. So many voices and works of mine was found in the sands of time, so I was tracked and found. Nothing changed. They came to use and dump me, not knowing I am the ancestor of Akebulan. He say, I love you, my people. Honorable, I'll take my leave now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before you go, I want to thank you once again. Please, guys, do anybody have question? If you have question, we can attend to one question at least. If you have question, please.
Okay, one question, please.
Yeah.
Let's make it fast
because they want you to stay over. They want you to stay. So, guys, like I told you, please follow this page. If you're enjoying this program, follow the honor. Look at the page here on the screen. Please follow this page. We're going to be transferring to that page next time. Don't miss this program. And,
tribe of Oshula and Omo Odula left for me. I can sleep on this platform, I'm telling you honestly, but I have other people that I want to teach right now. Free think, I see you, I love you, my brother. I have people that I need to teach 9 o'clock, and it's not online. I need to transport myself to that conference. They are waiting for me. Tell us about OAU. That is Owerri, Aba and Umuahia. Definitely, I will tell you.
Somebody said, what brought about the Asaba massacre? It's war now. Okay, I don't know.
Oh, I've told you already. There's Asaba massacre. Listen, you see. Oh my goodness, they are bringing me back to this place, but the spirit is calling. Let us go. Let me make it fast. The Asaba massacre. You see, the second division. Okay, they moved into where? They moved into Asaba. 5th October, 6th October, they began to shoot spasmodically. What does it mean to shoot spasmodically? That is spasmodically. When you shoot without aiming, that is spasmodically. So when they shot in Asaba, they caused pandemonium. They caused pandemonium. What is pandemonium? Fear. People had gunshots. They were running helter-skelter. So what happened? They got into Asaba. Murtala Muhammad, the 2nd division, and he was there with what? Ibrahim Taiwo. I told you it was a launch pad. What happened? The people of Asaba were scared because they were looking at death. They were shivering. Oh, if it were you, what would you have done? They were scared. So immediately, the people of Asaba began to scream, "One Nigeria, one Nigeria." Why? Because they were scared of their life. But I told you this. Listen, you need to understand. You can lie to yourself about who you are, but you cannot lie to your enemy about who you are. Why? Let me take you to the Holy Bible. You see, when the people of Israel were about to be massacred, Esther did nothing. Why? She was in the king's palace. But what happened? His uncle, our uncle, who was Mordecai, sent a message to Esther in the palace and said, "Esther, don't think because you are in the king palace, when they come for the Jews, they will not come for you, they will come for you." And immediately Esther did something. The people of Asaba collectively did not pay attention to that word in the Bible. So they wanted to save themselves and said they are not part of the Biafrans. So they said, "One Nigeria, one Nigeria." Why? Because they don't want to be tied. But unfortunately, on the 6th of October 1967, the Nigerian army, under the instruction of Ibrahim Taiwo, who was under the command of Murtala Muhammad of the 2nd Division, they began to do what? They began to separate men from women. Women noticed what was happening. They removed their clothes. I would have removed my clothes, but you can't see the body of the ancestor. You might go blind. So let me continue. Women removed their clothes and put it on their male children. Why? So that they will not be recognized. Okay? But at the end of the day, Nigerian army was able to separate men from children and women from men. So what happened? On the 7th of October 1967, the Nigerian army opened fire on those men and killed a lot of them. About 700 to 800. The number is not certain, but about 700 to 800 people died in Asaba massacre, 7th of October 1967. That was a very bad massacre. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm rushing because I need to go. On a good day, I'm going to sit down and teach you about
one more
massacre.
interesting question.
All right, I have 3 minutes.
Yeah, one more interesting question. I don't know if you want to attend this, but let me just read it out. Somebody has said, his question, since you call yourself an ancestor, if you have any idea of Biafra restoration, if it's possible or not. Is it going to be possible in this lifetime, or what do you think as an ancestor?
Okay, let me tell you something. Pay attention, whoever that asked that question. Okay, when next are you gonna be live on this? Every Friday, only audio first. I used to be here every Friday 7. Okay, okay. I don't have time, but
follow this new
every Friday. Okay, go. Okay, you say, is it possible? Is it possible? Okay, let me answer you before I go. See, you need to understand something. What is it that you need to understand? You see, people say Biafra is a name. Biafra is a name. But for me, Biafra is not a name. What is Biafra? Some people say that Biafra is an ideology. Is Biafra really an ideology? If you want to look Biafra from the perspective of an ideology, that is to say that ideology does not die. My brother, ideology does not die. So if we say Biafra is an ideology, it is pertinent and imperative to know that also Biafra is not just an ideology. Biafra is also what? An identity. Biafra is a decision. Biafra is power. Biafra is memory, because it has ownership. It is being owned by the people as their identity. That is why Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie said, "I am a black person because the white man thought as much as possible to differentiate me from his color. I became a Nigerian because the white man created Nigeria and gave me that identity. But I became an Igbo man because that was whom I am before the white man came." So ladies and gentlemen, when you ask the question, is Biafra achievable? It boils down to the question, is your identity achievable? If your identity is achievable, then Biafra is achievable. Then what you need to ask yourself, in this 21st century, are we going to achieve our liberation through gunpowder, through gunfire, or through dialogue? And if I am to advise you, I will tell you that we are in a time what we call octopo generation, a generation that trend with hashtag. And if I must tell you, it is time to sit on a table and discuss the future forward of your own identity. Of course, it is achievable. We saw it in Sudan. Of course, it is achievable. We saw it in other parts of the world. So when your people began to get to that situation and that place in time when people can reason, I tell you for the fact, you can get Biafra if you follow it the right way. What is one of the right way? One of the right way is this, is simple. I told you, if you want to get anything right in your country, Nigeria, educate the northerners. Educate the northerners. Let the Hausa man know that he was once conquered. Let the Hausa man know that he once had history before jihad. Empower other people in your country with knowledge. If you can empower them with knowledge, a time will come when it will be them that will tell you, oh, I think this is not working. Let us go our separate ways. But as long as it is only you who have the knowledge that you have, you will find that a knowledgeable man in the midst of ignorant people will suffer. So what do? You have to go on what? On background knowledge. When you go to the rural areas and start educating people, because you need to understand most of your people that are in the Biafra land does not even know what Biafra signifies, because the generation that fought for the Biafra are no longer here. So the new Gen Z only want to eat shawarma and burger. So you need to teach them what it means, so that when that time comes, you will not be fighting for people who do not want to be fought for. Thank you very much. It's 9 o'clock and past 9. Honorable, I need to run.
All right, thank you very much, guys. I have a lot of people I'm going to bring up while he goes his own. Let's educate us the way you want us to know about what your daddy told you, because I've seen a lot of questions here. If you want to come up, please send your request. Let's leave him next week. Please.
Cynthia said you should make this twice a week. Cynthia said
because of your time.
Twice.
You don't have time now. You said you don't have time, right? And
yeah, there's no time.
Yeah, guys, for only 1 week also,
I can go, right?
We're not able to sponsor him. So how do we make it 2 times a week? We're talking about sponsorship. Nobody is showing up. So how do you do it 2 times a week? We can make it every day in a week if you want, but we have to sponsor it. So guys, we will allow him to go.
Bye-bye.
Those of you who want to come up and educate us on what your daddy told, this guy really need to go. Wow. Send your request. Let's see what you have to say. What your daddy told you. Send your request if you want to come up. Guys, remember, every day I'm here doing co-host. Support me any way you could. If you want to come up and educate us, what do you think you have to say? Send the request. I have a lot of requests here, but I want a fresh request. Those who want to come up. Let's see. Those who have something to tell us, send your request. Let's hear from you. Yeah, Cynthia, welcome in.
Thank you.
Show on camera, on your camera. Let's see you.
Oh shit, this is not possible for me right now.
Show us your camera. We need to see you. Guys, if you have something to say, your own opinion, your contribution to what he said, just send your request and I'll bring you up. So, Cynthia, let's hear what you have to say.
Sorry, I'm somewhere I can't open my camera. Can I speak?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, the young man has done so well. We have learned a lot. Like, I'm so interested in this program, and by God's grace, a lot of us will be sponsoring.
Thank you.
Please, I'm not the only one here that's heard it. I was just scrolling through to TikTok. I haven't been here before. And I bought into this history. I like history. I like reading books. I like knowing my roots. I like knowing what's happening.
Thank you so much.
Sir, please keep this.
Yeah, the guy is, why I'm hammering about the sponsorship, the guy is You know, I don't know if you've been in Facebook. His Facebook page is raining. That's why I was making. I know how far I went before I was able to get his contact, and thank God he responded. So the guy is like, it's expensive. So that's why I'm asking for sponsorship. It's not like I cannot do it, but man, the guy is expensive. So if you want me to, I don't want. I don't know if it's easy, like because of TikTok. We can discuss it here, but I prefer in the inbox. But if you still want me to give you highlight of what the sponsorship is like, no problem, we can go ahead.
Okay, sir.
So which one
Okay.
you want?
Maybe you will give us the highlights.
Okay.
I don't know how you do.
All right. The guy is he's charging every hour 50K Nigeria time. Every hour.
Oh,
One
really?
1 hour. So and we have heard 4 times. 4 times now. So we are trying to, this is something you cannot get in university or any secondary school. Even the little one they want to provide, they try to avoid Igbo in it because they don't want to tell us what they did to Igbo people, and they cannot do it without causing fight. That's why it is difficult for them. So that's why when I see this guy being able to, I say, okay, let me just see what he can. But it was far, but I have to like tell him, guy, this is education. And he came to that terms. But for that, you have had it. So every Friday, 7 p.m. Nigeria time. And we are going to shift from this to this new location. My new account is The Honor, as you can see it. So anything I told you here, you can also confirm from him. There's no need for me to add or to put anything about in it. This is exactly what I discussed. You can also confirm from him. So I want to, because of the inbox, I don't know what happened. I cannot read people's inbox. People are complaining. So I want to use this account to be able to be bringing him up again every week. So that's why I ask everybody to follow. Guy, if you can hear me right now, you might come up here next week. You not see us. Please follow this new page. That is nothing. It's free of charge. Just follow for you to follow up and listen every Friday. Cynthia, I don't know if you have any other concern.
Not really. I'm just listening, but I want to say I am so grateful and thank you so much for this program. We'll
Thank
keep
you.
in touch. Thank you so
Alright,
much.
no problem. Thank you very much. Mr. Hasi, thank you for the gift. Are you here? Mr. Hazi. Are you here, Mr. Hazi? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you for the gift you've sent already. Thank you so much.
I agree to my brother. Well done.
Welcome, bro.
Kudos to the young man that just left.
The guy is good, man.
You see, the history of Biafra is a very complex issue.
Yeah.
What did I say? The story or the issue of Biafra is a very complex issue. It's just like now you ask yourself why it has not been achieved. Biafra would have been what? A recognized country far back. But because of what? Misunderstanding between the family, between the cycle. What did I mean? Now, it's just like now. I beg, who is honorable speaker? I beg, let me undermine him. But never to the person. That's where the source of resolution of Biafra. The issue of Biafra, it is not physical. It is not figure. And that's why I said earlier that that is why I told you earlier that it lies out of 100% of the struggle of Biafra. 70 to 80% or 75% lies in the hand of the Ijaws. I see quote it. Ijaws. And the majority of the Jaws don't know. Majority of the Igbos don't know. Majority of other ethnicity don't know because they don't know the source. What are the source? This is not something that people will expect us to just say it. Because of what? We are over too much in this platform. Assuming that it's only 1 or 2, 3 person, I can say, okay, this is the source. And if they embark on that source, less than 1 month in the world we are, or generally in the world we are, the spiritualism control the physical, either they like it or not. It's just for us. Oh, okay, somebody is sick. The person that is sick has been taking different kind of medication. Please mute this guy. Have been taking different or serious kind of medication, meeting